Hello, everybody. Hopefully everybody is hearing me. I am in the mountains, loving it. Hey, Lola, it's now. Can somebody give me a shout out that lets me know you can see me? Hi, David. I think, hey, David, could you just let me know if you can hear and see me? Because that would be great. Hi, Armando. Hey, Taffy. 2 years clean for you. Beautiful. Emasculated. Demasculated. Hey, okay, great, David. Thank you very much. Jamie texted me. She's trying to get in, but I will just let her know that I am, in fact, fine if she can't. And then we'll get rolling here. Okay, so today I had a different agenda anyways. Let's let some people join us here. So Shattering the Mask, husband quit porn 3 years ago, literally does nothing with his life. What's going on? 3 years. I am going to talk about that because that is one thing that I have been focusing on. So not that specifically, but it will answer your question of likely what's going on. Let's see. Oh, you were gaming the S. Loretta program? So maybe you mean in terms of neurofeedback, Taffy? S. Loretta should be really helping your brain. Hey, Super Sunny D. I'm glad you're here. SM Hassan, Jamie's not with us yet here, but she will be soon, hopefully. Okay, so welcome. I have made the big executive decision that this is going to be the last live of 2021. I will tell you why, is that I am offering a holiday program, Enjoy the Holidays Without Porn. And I'm going to be going live in that program in meeting form where we can actually talk and see each other. So I am going to pump the brakes on the YouTube lives just simply out of bandwidth and try to meet people in those lives in a more intimate format so that we can get your questions really answered and to support you through the enjoy the holidays without porn. And I know I love these lives too, Super Sunny D, but we'll be back in 2022. Jamie in the house.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but
Okay.
My audio must not be
How about now?
in my yeah, I can hear you, but you're
Okay.
coming through my computer. Let me connect my AirPods because without any audio, I didn't know. Can you talk to me one more time?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on? Jamie's in the office with some
Yes. See some light. You actually can see me today.
yeah, exactly. Right, with some light in the office. Jamie's been going into the office every day this week. And it's a new beginning. And I'm here in the mountains. I'm going to be here till next Tuesday. I've been here for 2 days already. Super Sunny D, I'm sure Jamie, once she settles in, will put the link for the holiday program here. And I made 2 videos about it that we've put out so far. It's $33. Basically, it's $1 a day. It's going to be a daily program like the 30-day challenge, but different. It's going to have different action steps and lessons, quick ones each day with motivation and inspiration. But the lessons are going to be focused more around, you know how in the 30-day challenge I said make a plan, plan how you're going to get over, put your defensive plan in place to stop watching pornography and make your offensive plan. Well, this is going to be more of, if you did the 30-day challenge, hopefully put your pivot plan in place and you know how to deal with relapses. This is going to be more of like making your plan for the holiday season if you celebrate the holidays. If not, you can still use all of the strategies and tips in there. And then especially to propel you into the new year. And, things like social anxiety, making yourself a calendar that feels good to you in terms of like being busy enough and engaged in the world, but still giving yourself time to offset stress and anxiety in a healthy way. I want to talk about that today because I made one video on my other YouTube channel. We affectionately call it Channel 1, the channel where the channel where I talk more just about brain stuff and anxiety and focus and ADHD. I made a video there the other day talking about balancing the scales, and I want to talk about it specifically here today. Once we get rolling here, but in the holiday program, it's going to be, how you enter into social interactions and feel confident. And when you do that, you fire up your frontal lobe and you resensitize your reward center in your brain. That's why we're doing these things, is to bring your brain back online so that you can feel better, you can perform better, and, really just move into 2022. So, it's $33. We already have a whole bunch of people signing up and joining. So it's going to be really awesome. I am very psyched.
I just put the link in, but I will also add it to the bottom of this, bottom of the once we get done, what do you call it? The bottom of this post once we're done, so anybody can access it.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks. Yeah. And we could probably put it somewhere, somewhere up on the channel. Dizam, is that how you say your name? What's the other channel? It is Brain Rewire, Dr. Trish Lee. I've had that channel for years and I really haven't been that active on it, but hashtag New Year's goals. It's a New Year's goal to get better of putting things up on that. Hassan, I said that masturbation is fine once a week. That's not true. I did not say masturbation is fine once a week, because that is not true for people with compulsive masturbation or who have been involved in pornography. What I know from the science, and to digress here, is that, masturbation between 2 and 7 times a week is not healthy for you. Masturbation, if you have to keep it in your healthy sex life, really should be once a month. And it should be where you are focusing on the sensations in your body. I made a video that's coming out, or I think it already did, where, kind of liking it to a massage. And definitely don't go there in your mind of unhealthy massage. But, when you get a massage, you're feeling the sensations in your body and it's stress reduction and you're feeling great. But you're not, it's not arousing if you're getting a massage in a healthy way. So, but if you're here on this channel, I would not add masturbation into your sexuality for a long time, if ever, because healthy masturbation is probably just the hijacker trying to convince you it's a good idea just to self-sabotage you. The 33-day challenge starts on December 1st, and it's going to go through January 2nd. So I am in my mountain house. That's what this background is. It's the literal mountains, which is an amazing thing. I know I'm backlit, but I tried to do it from a whole bunch of different places.
I asked her this morning to send me pictures. I said, send me some pictures of the pretty leaves. And she was like, there are no leaves there.
There are no leaves. It's already changed. It's actually cold today. Yesterday was beautiful. I am working on writing my 90-day program into a book. And I underestimated how long it takes to write a book. I actually wrote one book. I wrote a book like 15 years ago. I never published it, which now as I'm doing this frustrates me. But I am here writing it because this way, there's a manual for the people who get into the digital program. And, especially if you can't afford to get into the digital program, it's going to be in book form. And I am so excited because I've only been doing it for 2 days. I've been basically writing it for 2 days, but I already had a big outline. So I'm on my way with it. I already had the whole thing outlined, but I'm going to talk about a piece of it today that I've not talked about before, which I'm excited to talk about. But check this out. This is my mountain house that I bought with my friends, which was a lifelong goal. And I still have to buy our beach house. But my besties and I bought this house in May. And honestly, I would have never done it if my friend Chanel didn't push us to do it, because that's how big goals go. You have to push yourself to do it. And it happened to be open. So I said to, the group, if it stays open, can I go and write this book? And it stayed open. So I bounced out of my house and came here. But I've been here by myself and it's magical. I now realize I am going to be fine in retirement, or if I'm ever alone, I'm going to be fine, it's pretty amazing, because I literally would not have thought that, this would be so as wonderful as it is. I thought it would be all like rosy and magical for the first day, like the movie The Holiday, if you've ever seen The Holiday, but then I'd be jonesing to go home, like, 2 hours later. Okay, I'm going to jump into a couple questions here, but then I do want to talk about one or two things. Lola asks, is it true that chocolate isn't good if you're going on no fap? No, actually, in Dopamine Nation, Dr. Anna Lemke, in what's now becoming a blockbuster book, she has a chart in there talking about the levels of dopamine that chocolate actually produces. And if you know me, I love me some dark chocolate with sea salt and caramel. I could not find one on the way here. I had to bring dark chocolate with almonds and sea salt, but it's amazing. And especially dark chocolate doesn't have a ton of sugar. So, dark chocolate, and no, it actually produces a dopamine hit, which is what your brain's looking for in no fap. So healthy mood regulation, healthy dopamine hits are what we're talking about. Okay, Ryan says he had sex last week, ended up masturbating briefly to finish. Does that count as a relapse? No, but I don't love that. I've got to tell you, for what it's worth, it was a huge confidence boost for me. I was more flirty with women the days after. Yeah, it's a confidence boost because you just moved your brain in the wrong direction. Being flirty with women isn't a goal here. Like, that's not healthy sexuality. Being intimate with a potential partner, that's healthy sexuality. Having to masturbate to finish means that likely there's some level of erectile dysfunction brewing, that your brain needs that high levels of mental and physical stimulation from masturbation. I wouldn't call it a win. And this is why people think porn and masturbation are good for you. Right here in Ryan's comment, they think it's good for them because it gives you this huge hit of dopamine that makes you feel confident for a couple days. So many people have told me, I thought it was good for me because my business is rocking. I feel confident. In doing so, it likely means you're in the earlier stages of kind of frying out your brain. So, being flirty with women, you want to be confident with people. You want to feel like you have self-worth from inside. So you don't need women to like what you have going on. That's actual emotional health from the inside out. Thomas says he had a wet dream 2-3 days ago. I think that probably was added to something up higher, but wet dreams are your brain and your body purging the need to, release semen. It's no big deal as part of this. I better go up instead of down. Part of this journey, it's no big deal. Hi, Osa from Harlem. Good to see you. Quick question. When I drink a cup of coffee when I'm grinding, instead of giving me pep, drains me. Yep. David, if you're grinding hard, my friend, and you are just caffeinating to push through, it's time for a break, my friend, because it drains you, because you're looking for, actually, your brain's in hyper arousal when you're on the daily grind. If you don't do 1 hour and 15 minutes on, 15 minutes off, you are going to dip your brain into fatigue. So then so what happens is your brain's running fast and slow. So you try to put some caffeine in there to get it going, but it's already running fast, but it's exhausted. What it needs is a break in recovery. Got to give it some recovery. Hi, Alex. What's happening? Taffy, looking good. Sleeping a lot on no fap. Is that okay? And you mean a lot, J Empath? That's so funny. Yeah, if your brain is healing itself, sleep is how it does it. And when my kids are sick, sickness and a diseased brain mechanism, we're just going to equate it without, talking about it too much. But when my kids are sick, I take all their stuff away from them to force them to sleep. And now they're a little bit older, so they've learned that when my kids are sick, you can stay home from school only if you sleep. You have to sleep all morning long, and then you can chill and watch a little TV, and then you sleep all afternoon long. There's nothing else. And they've learned that when they're not well, the number one thing to get well is sleep. So that's a good thing if you can do it. I know it's difficult. Hey, Daniel. Hi, Charlie. Jamie's in the house now. What to do if you feel inflammation build up from abstaining? Well, I'm assuming, I don't know where that inflammation is, but I will tell you that, going down, Munir asked that, going down to what, whoever said about Thomas, I think it was, about having a wet dream. If there's inflammation building up, it's going to take care of itself. Like one of my mentors always says nobody ever died from not masturbating. I know, Super Sunny D, these lives are fantastic, and we're going to be back in the new year with them. But I'm going to give my all to the holiday program because I really want people to be able to use the 30 days and finish out the year. Yep, neurological, not a sexual consultant. Well, I am here talking brain health and how sexuality impacts it. Yeah, I'm in the North Carolina mountains, Ryan. I am in Blowing Rock, basically. And my husband said, he was joking with me because it's definitely weird being here by myself. And he's like, why are you afraid Jason's going to show up at the window? I'm like, thanks for planting that seed, dude. But the beautiful thing is the entire house is up on a mountain except for the front door. So like it can't be accessed by anything else. Isn't that cool? So like all those windows, Jason can't come in and kill me. Plus it's in a gated community, which is really cool too. Yeah, sexual transmutation, Charlie. Sorry, Jamie, I'm just blasting through a bunch of questions.
You're fine.
Sexual transmutation is when you learn, you grow the emotional maturity from the inside out, like I just said, and you learn how to take that energy and get on purpose with it instead of using it just to chase down and, find sex and keep looking for it, because that's what dopamine does to your brain when you're looking for sex. Hi, Paco. What's happening? Okay, so Jamie, I don't know if you have any questions, but I'm just going to talk about two things, and then if you have some more questions for me, you can kind of throw them over to me. So one thing that I got on a tangent this morning writing this book that was not in it is thinking about the hero's journey. And this has become really important to me in the last day or two. So I just want to talk about it quickly. And you know how I actually haven't joked about it in a long time about how, I'm Yoda in this whole like leaving porn behind and moving on to figure out how to create healthy sexuality, and especially to create healthy stress relief and mood regulation. And, the Yoda joke is that I'm here as a guide to you all. And so I was thinking about the hero's journey in that basically it was created as story structure. And so in all movies, and Star Wars being one of them, there is, a guy who has a challenge in his life. And at the beginning, he's just living an ordinary life. He doesn't even know he has a challenge. But then he figures out he has a challenge and he has no other choice but to go on this journey. And of course, I equate this to porn recovery and sexual acting out because, sometimes people learn through me that porn's bad for them. Other times their partner finds out they're watching porn and they're like, I'm done. And that's inspired them. I've talked to many people in the last week where, their partner's on the way out and they're going to try to figure this thing out so that they can stay with their partner. Or unfortunately, people develop erectile dysfunction when they're young. And that's a real powerful motivator into the hero's journey. But then once the hero gets motivated, of course, he has fears and doubts. And, he finds a mentor who can take them from the ordinary world into what's called the special world. And the special world is here with me, where you realize all of the things that are behind your issues, like family dysfunction, like trauma, like things you never knew had to do with porn consumption, like anxiety and mood regulation. Most people think it's about sex and sexual urges. Those urges are calls for your brain to feel relaxed and to do it in a healthy way, obviously. But there's, and it goes on, you go into the special world, you transform, there's hardships, there's enemies to be fought, there's allies to be made, there's challenges to rise above. Then the hero comes back out of that transformed and goes back into the ordinary world where they take all of that learning and become the new transformed version of themselves. And there's 12 distinct steps in the hero's journey. This is the point that I wanted to make today, is that when we're here in these lives, or when you're in the 30-day challenge with me, the part of the hero's journey that you're in on the 30-day challenge, we'll say, is that, there's 30 days of challenge or struggle. You're in the special world where I'm there, I'm your mentor. I'm trying to help you to take new action steps, make a plan, pivot so that you don't relapse. If you do relapse, break it down and figure it out. There's the enemies, which is the hijacker for sure, allies, which are the people here in this community. So you've made that part of the journey. You're here with me. And this goes back to, I think it's Lola, right? No, it's Shattering the Mask. This goes back to Shattering the Mask's question. So once you do all of this learning and you're on streaks and you're doing great, now you have to take what you've learned and take it back into the ordinary world. There has to be transference. So to be able to do that, you have to unwire the brain pattern that's pushing you into the screen, and you have to stay out of the screen because it pulls you back in. Supernormal stimulus. You have to delve in to your subconscious, and you have to figure out how you work. Scary business. That's actually, you know, the big ordeal in the hero's journey, figuring out like, what is it that makes you tick and how can you make yourself tick better? Identity is a really big part of that. Self-worth, validating from the inside out, not needing little chickies to validate you, not needing porn to validate you. So then when you do that, you have to go back into your world and become more vulnerable with people. Allow yourself to be more intimate. So if you can't finish, I think that was Ryan, right? If you can't finish in a sexual experience, instead of masturbating, you have to look your partner in the eye and say, you know, that's enough for today. Or, you know, maybe we can try this, that, or the other thing. Or, you know, to be able to go, this is my reality right now, back in the world. Because you can be here in the lives and learn everything, but unless you start practicing it in the world, it doesn't transfer. So shattering the mask, if your partner stopped watching porn 3 years ago, but did none of the other things, they're just like they haven't even started the hero's journey. They're at that, like, they're at step 2. Step 2 is figuring out you have a problem. Now step 3 is moving towards the journey. They haven't moved towards the journey. And the reason I put it in the book is because so many people get stuck in the journey. You know, I know people at every stage of the journey. I know people at stage 2, there's 12 steps, remember? I know people at step 2 that have been there for 10 years. I know people at step 10 that have been doing this for 1 month. So when people ask me, how long does this take? That's why it is different each time. You have
And these
to learn
aren't
the things and transfer it.
12-step program. This is not.
No.
Okay.
No, it's totally different than a 12-step program. 12 steps are, you know, that's not at all. It's just literally go watch Star Wars. It's the 12 pieces of Star Wars. You know,
Okay.
it's so, you know, think about that, because when you watch the 30-day challenge, don't just watch it, write it in your journal. Don't just write it in your journal. Go actually figure out how to put it into your life. And if you keep doing it, you will absolutely get better. Hey, Farmer Bradley, what's happening? Okay, so what else are we talking about here, James?
So I got a question. Dizam says, please, more ideas for brain positive activities.
Sure. So they're different for all people. So that's why it's difficult for me to say. And I'm always saying the ones that are common. You know, workouts, number one thing. Cooking, learn how to cook and share meals with the people you care about. It fires your brain up in the right direction. The easiest thing to do is, when we get off this live, write down a list of the 10 things that you like to do besides porn and masturbation. Don't put anything sexual down. So write them down and then put a number from 1 to 10 down them in the list and go do number 1. And then add number 2 into your life. That's how you create a balanced life in the end. It's fundamental and it's essential. So spending time with people that you like, hobbies, you know, so even me coming here to the mountains, I was so psyched about it because my general life is so busy. There's no place to think. So I am just absolutely loving it because I have been writing, which is like literally puts my brain in a great zone. I went for a run. It's so quiet. It's ridiculous. There's no children. There's no dogs. So, you know, coming here is something for me, getting time and space. So, you know, think of the things that you like to do. Was that my husband just taking off out of the office? I could hear.
It was John. He's actually going to get adjustment from your husband. So
no, I heard a car, and normally that I could hear Kaz's car because it's so beefy. I could hear it like pull out down our street when he leaves. Okay, so hopefully it's your hobbies. It's number one, it's your hobbies. But the thing is too, it's like a framework shift. It's your relationships. So if your relationship is kind of draining for you, you need to fix it. You need to be able to hang out with people that feel good to you. Dizam, 12 steps are, or unless Jamie already answered that, 12-step programs are if you go to a free program like Sex Addicts Anonymous, that's the 12-step recovery program for people struggling with porn addiction and sexual acting out. There's 12 steps to it. And it's actually very cool for some people. Some people find it has shortcomings. I like pieces of it. There's other pieces I don't, but you could totally check that out.
I've got one from Super Sunny D. Being single, I'd like to have a relationship. Sexual fantasy is my only source of mental and physical stimulation. It's a double-edged sword as it drives me crazy. And can you advise me, please?
Yep. So your brain is just trained to go to sexual fantasy. And also your brain is trained to need more sexual stimulation than it actually does. I know nobody believes me at the beginning of this journey, but talking about sexual transmutation, when you grow up and you're more emotionally healthy and strong, you don't need as much sexual stimulation. It's not that there's something wrong with you. What's wrong in the first place is, or wrong's a wrong word, but what's off or unhealthy in the first place is hypersexuality, is how often your brain is going to sexual fantasy. It doesn't need it. It does not need it. So I want you to know that if you can get to a place where you don't fantasize about sex for days or weeks, then you're moving in a good direction. And what you can do is, so remember this, if your brain goes to fantasy, it is slowing down. Fantasy comes from theta, the slower brain speed. So if you find yourself fantasizing, it's your brain telling you, I need to slow down. I'm tired. It's a call for a break. So you can give it that break in a healthy way. You can either fantasize about something healthy, so like your next vacation or, some project that you're eager to do, or, like my son keeps fantasizing about the driving steering wheel thing for the PlayStation. I think it's for the PlayStation. So he's talked about it a billion times, so he's in the middle of school and he calls me, about this, it's like a steering wheel. And he said that it's going to help him learn how to drive stick. So obviously he's in the middle of school and
this is a total difference.
His brain's I need out of calculus. Maybe I'll text my mom and see if she'll get me that steering wheel. So, it's his brain going I need a break from this. So give your brain a break in a healthy way, either through healthy fantasy, but you also don't want to train your brain to have to go to fantasy at all. You want to train your brain that you take a nap or you go for a walk or exercise is one of the most powerful things that can help you during a porn brain rewire. The reason we changed the name to Rewire, and actually, James, I see we need to change the logo in here, is because is that so many people in this space use the term reboot, which so when I came into this space, it just made sense for me. But what we do here is more powerful than just a reboot. Reboot implies if your computer isn't working, you turn it off and you turn it back on. That's a reboot, and it doesn't work that way. It is intricate. It's nuanced. There's a lot of working pieces to it. What I started to write in the book that I'm writing, which who knows if it'll stay there because it's kind of cheesy, but how I love me some cheesy things sometimes, is that, and all of you are probably so young, you don't even remember this song. Don't you start hating on them like you hated on Eminem. Is that the song by Weezer? Do you know that song Undone by Weezer?
Yeah.
Where they say, if you want to destroy my sweater, hold this thread while I walk away. And I was thinking about porn brain rewiring as, it's a sweater made up of all these different threads. And to unravel the sweater, you have to pull the right threads at the right time. And you have to keep pulling those threads. It's not you can't just reboot. You need to actually rewire all of those threads. You have to create a new sweater, a new healthy sweater. So that's why it's different. And, being a neuroscientist instead of just someone who is not a neuroscientist, I wanted to reflect that aspect of my work too, that this is high level stuff that we're doing here. So I wanted to reflect that.
Something has happened. I'm not able to see the comments. Here we go. Okay.
I can see him. Mirai Memento asks how long it takes for porn-based OCD and ADHD to disappear. I've been sober for 22 days now, and I still find it very hard to focus. My mind's constantly spinning. Unfortunately, for most people, it takes longer than that. And it also depends on what you're doing. So I will explain quickly. So OCD comes from the fast speed. ADHD comes from the slow speed. We know that from science. So as your brain comes out of that fast and slow speed back towards medium speed, you'll start to get some reprieve of the OCD and ADHD symptoms. But this is a process. This is not an event. And an easy way that I started to write about it, well, since I've been here, is that, it takes 30 days to unwire the pattern. And Anna Lemke talks about 30 days as kind of like a first level unwiring of addiction in Dopamine Nation. It takes 60 days to begin to rewire, and it takes 90 days to begin to hardwire in. So 22 days, you're still unwiring. So stay the course, and it will continue to unwire, and you'll feel better and better and better, and you'll be noticing how, it's coming online. But, don't go into fantasy. Fantasy, I think, is probably the number one thing that keeps people from being able to move through this journey, because if your mind keeps going to fantasy, you're firing up that dopamine level, preventing yourself from being able to move forward. And like I just told you, fantasy is going to keep you in that ADHD mode. And when you go to fantasy and it slows your brain down, there's a comorbid or a coexisting pattern of speeding it up, which means your, OCD behaviors will continue on too. So stay out of fantasy.
Charlie says, what is a healthy semen retention period?
Again, it's going to be different for all people, but, I think it should be a lifestyle, because we weren't designed to be in a, semen retention lifestyle. We were designed as sexual beings. So, but in this journey, you need to feel it out, and self-awareness grows. So in the 30-day challenge, hopefully your self-awareness of where you're at and how you're doing. And if you're able to get through the whole 30 days with no relapses, you're ahead of that journey than the person who keeps relapsing and they're on day one, So as you keep moving forward, you will have a better sense of where you're at and when you can add in healthy sexuality. But it can be powerful to unwire your brain, going back to those amount of days. Like, if you're really trying to eagerly unwire and rewire by not being sexual at all, it helps you to unwire, and then you can start rewiring your brain for healthy mood regulation without dealing with sex, and then you can move forward. So, again, at least 30 days, possibly 60, and 90 is kind of the rule of thumb or the guiding post.
So Christian says, enjoying your channel. Does long-term porn consumption stunt emotional behavior maturity? Can that be recovered with neuroplasticity?
Yeah, for sure. Science shows that basically the development of your frontal lobe, if you, which most people do, begin watching porn in adolescence or when you're younger, it kind of creates neurorigidity and freezes your brain and locks it in that developmental mode. That's why many people do have more emotional regulation issues, because their brain's been locked in that mode, and it prevents neuroplasticity. But when you stop going back into the screen, and especially if you do the work, that's why I put the brain tip strategies at the end. I already said it, but I'm going to say it again. If you just stop watching porn, that is not enough. It's not enough to grow your brain up. It's enough to stop future, progression. And even that's not true, because if your brain's is wiring itself in that more immature mode, then unless you do something to unwire it and rewire it in the healthy mode, it can just grab that mode and keep using it. So, the point is, yes, your job is to stop watching porn and to grow your brain up, heal it, so that you can actually use neuroplasticity as your best friend. How do you do that? You use the brain tip strategies, or you join a program. that teaches you how to grow up your brain. And, it's using your mind, your thoughts, using your emotions or feelings, using your body, using your routines. There's a lot to it. And there's a lot of ways that you can bring your brain back online. And, I've started to give them to you in the brain tip strategies.
Taylor says, do you think it's possible for someone who gives up porn to get off antidepressant medications?
Wait, sorry, say that again. I was reading David's comment. I cannot tell a lie. And I'm going to answer David next.
Go ahead and answer this. We'll get back to this.
Okay, so look at Jamie. She's looking out the window. Her theta's going through the roof. I wish Dr. Trish would stop waxing and waning poetic as Jamie looks out the window, right, Jamie? So David says, I was sick and tired of the pee. I'm crafting a new man, creating a new version of myself. And the reason I wanted to answer this is that I was just focusing on the identity section of the book too. And this is part of my program. And I just made a video on it. Identity is a huge piece of this puzzle. And again, nobody sees it. Like when you're watching porn, you don't get like your identity's at the core of it. So your identity is who you see yourself as. And many of us were programmed by other people. And most of us are programmed by our parents, our schools, our teachers, our religious organizations. We're programmed to think things about ourselves, and we create this identity. If you started watching porn early in your life, it became part of your identity. It became the tool, the primary tool, if not the only tool in your toolbox to go self-soothe in the chaos of life. So it becomes part of your identity. And then when you don't want it in your life anymore, you can't just go, I'm not going to do that anymore, because it's been the tool in your toolbox that you've been carrying around. So you need a new toolbox with new tools, and that's your new identity. But it starts by thinking about, who do you want to be? In the video I just made, I'm always here with everybody in my life, and this is fairly new. It's like 10 years old, that I try to meet all the challenges in my life with compassion. Compassion's like, how I always give these terms to myself so I can try to remember, and the shit's hit the fan like a bunch of times. It seems to always, every week. I know I say that all the time, but I was actually thinking, like, I think, I created it in my life a long time ago by having so many kids, by having so many dogs, by having so many pets. I create a lot of chaos, but I learned that chaos from my family. And that's the whole point. I grew up in that. So then that felt normal to me. When I'm here in the quiet of the mountain house, I'm like, people do this for their regular life all the time. There's people with no kids. There's people with one kid that like, it's quiet like this and it's clean like this. But so my point about that is a lot of stuff comes my way, and I've created the identity for myself, maybe 10 years ago, and I'm always working on it. But I said to myself 10 years ago, I'm not going to let stuff throw me out of my peace. I'm going to try really hard to stay in peace and meet all the difficult things in my life with compassion for the other person and trying to help everybody win. And so then, I have to challenge myself to do that on a daily basis. It's like literally daily something goes down where I've got to go, okay, how can I help this person? How can I solve this thing? And, that is my identity that I'm creating. So I've already told myself what it is. So every day I can figure out what the action steps are. Identity is just a construct. It's a bunch of ideas that you buy into as yourself. So if you no longer buy into porn as part of that, and you buy into compassion or you buy into integrity, you become a new version.
And that's one of the lessons that I love in your program, finding your authentic self and your inner child, and the way that you talk about it in there. You break it down really simple to be able to find yourself. So it's really cool. But
it's hard
one
work,
thing
but
I was going to say is also, Dr. Leigh me and John will see some comments online, and they may not be so nice, and we'll get really defensive. And then, we'll
You
talk to
probably loved that giant email I got yesterday then.
we'll talk, me and John will talk about it, and then we'll talk to Dr. Leigh, and she's like, no, you don't handle it that way. You need to, she comes at it at a total different way. She, you don't react the same way that you would think that you would want to react. So it's not, reacting defensively, not, what's the word that you use?
Yeah, it's responding, but it's responding so that, I don't know, is that not the word?
it, there's a word that you use that, I can't remember right now, but the point is, just thinking about it and not giving in to,
Yeah,
not
no, you
giving,
have to. Yeah, well, the goal for me is always healing. How can I help that
yeah,
person heal? So when your filter is how can I help that person heal? You approach it completely differently.
absolutely. And
Hey, Xanadu, I wanted to tell you that hopefully I'm saying your name right. It reminds me of Xanadu, which all of you are probably so young you don't remember that awesome movie from like the 80s, Xanadu with Olivia Newton-John. It
nope.
was miraculous. But anyway, you asking a question about being a helicopter wife. I just made a podcast with Adria Sullivan where I have a program coming out for partners called Sanity After Betrayal. It falls all in line with what I say here for men, but for partners. And we just recorded a podcast on your very question. So it should be online on YouTube very soon. And our podcast is at Sanity After Betrayal, and the videos are at the same YouTube channel. Don't worry, men. It's not me going against men. It's me. Adria's helping women to, stay in this as we heal brains for men, that she can help partners stay sane. And long story short, nobody wants a helicopter wife, and it does not feel good being a helicopter wife. So you have to find your peace and not check. But there's about 1,000 steps in that. But I explain it in that podcast.
All right, Jordan, Jordan Journey. In the program, will you be able to ask more personal questions?
Yeah. So we did it for the September program, and basically the way that it works is the same as the 90-day program. So if anybody's interested in joining the 90-day program, we do this once a week. Or it's 3 weeks a month, so almost once a week each month. Jamie sends out an email asking people if they have questions. So I know what the questions are ahead of time, so that first of all, we know how many we have. If not, I always have a theme prepared. So it'll be the same for the live and the holiday program, where we're on a meeting. You can show your face if you want to. You will be muted, but I'll have people's questions and we can unmute you if you have a question. And then this way we can go back and forth and get your questions answered in a much more personable way. So yes, for sure. And we do that in the 90-day program, and it's totally awesome. In the 90-day program, it's smaller. So everybody talks, everybody shares if they want to. You don't have to. Again, you can come with your camera off and your audio off. But what happens is we all jump on. I love them. They're one of my favorite times of the week. And I always have a theme. And actually this week, if anybody's listening who was in the meeting, it was really beautiful because one gentleman started the meeting with his affirmations that he's telling himself. Another great guy closed the meeting with a really cool quote, and everybody interacted and asked questions, provided support for each other. There's accountability partners. It's a beautiful thing.
So Taffy says, my neurofeedback doctor says using silent prayer when you do 5 minutes, eyes closed, is gaming neurofeedback, and why I need 10 more sessions.
Yeah, it's hard for me, obviously, to answer neurofeedback questions here, but what I can tell you about prayer that most people here might appreciate if they believe in prayer or meditation. When people pray, I've seen it. It's hacking neurofeedback for sure. And if you have a Muse headband, you can pray if you're into prayer. I had one person, actually, I was telling Jamie about Caitlin Ball, who was a women's soccer player at UNC Chapel Hill, and she was taken out by multiple concussions, totally non-functional. and she's very spiritual. Prayer is very important to her. She would pray during all of her neurofeedback sessions. And oh my gosh, you should see what her brain would do, off the charts in the right direction. And very quickly, she was able to heal from all those concussions that she was going back to, get back into the professional women's soccer league. So super cool. So if you're into prayer, go for it. If not, that's why affirmations are so important. I always tell you how I have my affirmation, which is from Star Wars, from Rey. I'm one with the Force is with me, because just that affirmation, taps me into divinity, connects me to other people. It has the perfect gap in the middle, so I can do a gap meditation where I can get my brain to be at a place where there's no thoughts. Oh, and I wanted to tell you all something when I'm thinking of the Muse Calm headband, is that yesterday, I was writing all morning. Actually, I made a bunch of videos. I promised myself that I would go on my Muse. It's right here, so I can explain it a tiny bit. I promised myself I would go on my Muse, and I brought it knowing my husband would be missing it because I gave Jamie and John my other two. I was thinking I left Cosmos with no headband, but anyway, that's okay. He will have to find one at work. Plus, there's neurofeedback systems at work. But I brought the Muse headband, and after, a day of really using my brain, I think it's at like 3:00. I'm going to post my graph on Instagram. I'll do it when we get off. But for like the first, it's only like a 10-minute session. For the first 8 minutes, my brain's up here in the active and neutral, and then it goes down, it drops into the calm zone. Absolutely, just totally amazing. I could feel it too. And as I'm doing the session, I'm like, my brain is hurting right now. What I mean by hurting is I can feel how active it is. And this is how you grow your self-awareness with the Muse Calm. I'm going to see if I can just show you the graph real quick, but I will post it on Instagram. We'll see if the camera will allow a decent angle. I don't know if you can, hang on. You see that or no?
Yes, I see it. Wow.
So you can see how all those rigid lines at the beginning. Let's see if I back it up, if it's better. If I go closer.
And then, yes, I see it.
And then it drops. Can you see it or no? And then it drops, and it was after 6 minutes and 40 seconds. And so the way it works is the headband gives your brain feedback. There's 5 sensors in the frontal. You can see them here. There's 2 in the temporal lobes that go over your ears, and you put the headband on, and then it gives your brain feedback in soundscapes, auditory feedback. And now they have a feature that you can listen to podcasts. You have to pay for it. They call it Biofeedback Plus. I forget how much it is, but and we have a special link. Maybe Jamie would be willing to put the link in here to purchase the Muse, because I swore I would do it every day when I'm here. And so I have to do it today, but my brain was so active from thinking. So it's not even like I was massively stressed. And the point is, going back to David's question, I drank coffee to try to keep grinding through. You could see on this graph that this was 10 minutes and 40 seconds, because I did abandon ship because I wanted to get a run in and it was starting to rain. But 10 minutes and 40 seconds later, my brain's in a completely different mode than it was 10 minutes before. It's back in the calm zone where I can go back to work. So this is a healthy tool for you to do that. And so I was really excited. I was blown away when I hit that rhythm, because I did not even really think. And what I was doing within my session was I wasn't saying my affirmation, but I was just focusing on my breath. So I couldn't have all the thoughts. I was calming all the thoughts down from writing. I was saying in, out, in, out. And the only thing my mind was focusing on was the breath of, the in and the out of my breath. And, it paid off 6 minutes and 40 seconds later with a calm brain that I was able to maintain for another 5 minutes. Amazing thing.
So you said in, out the entire time, or just while?
Well, you lose track of it if you ever try it. You can try this in meditation without the headband. You can measure it and you can see that it's working. But you can also, in meditation, if you sit in, and meditation's a fancy word for literally sit on that couch back there, do nothing except for focus on your breath. Say to yourself, in, out. Well, of course, what happens is you go in, out. I'm hungry. I should get something to eat. And, so I wonder if I have enough time to go for a run, because it seems like it's starting to rain. In, out. But then before you notice it, then you're actually hitting the in and the out, and your brain slows. Well, it actually doesn't slow down. It brings down this extra slow and the extra fast back into calm mode. So all those squirrely thoughts that are bouncing around are no longer there. So then I'm no longer thinking I'm hungry, and I'm no longer thinking I should go. And, then you can get back to work with clear head, not a grind set.
So I've just put the link to the Muse. It is the Muse 2. They have a Muse S that you can purchase. That's for sleep. It's like $100 more. I don't really recommend getting that one. Just the regular one is perfectly fine, and you do not necessarily need any of the subscriptions. Just getting the basic app that
Yeah,
comes with
start
it
with the
is fine.
basic, and you can add the bells and whistles if you want to. And the difference with the sleep, the Muse S, it has a stretchy headband. So if that appeals to you, it does have a stretchy headband. I like my rigid headband better. I've had the Muse S. And it does have sleep apps on the Muse S. I don't love people having EMF around electromagnetic fields around their brain at night unless they truly have insomnia and can't sleep, because if that's the case, it could help you. But by using the Muse in the day, you'll be able to sleep better at night anyways. I see we have a question from Sam, who donated $10. Thank you, Sam. Got a bug bite misdiagnosed for years and lived with drugs that strip desire. When is desire all right? In my program, I teach about desire, and desire itself is actually a lower level energy. Love is a higher level energy. So, desire is not the same as intimacy and love. And so, as you get healthier, desire shifts into kind of that healthy aspect. That is when it's all right. When you feel good and you're on purpose, and you find a person that you want to connect with, and you are, want whole person connection, not just for sex. Desire's part of that, part of all the other intimacies.
Thank you, Michael, for your donation. We do appreciate it. A couple that you've already actually.
Hey, Rick Martin, I'm right by Grandfather Mountain. Where this house is, there is the most amazing view of Grandfather Mountain. I'm right there. That's exactly where I am.
It's Casper says, can you explain what brain fog is? Is there any method for people to stay on task for a long period of time?
Yeah. So, brain fog is too much theta. Theta is that slow speed. So when you go to think, like right now, I have to be using low beta to be able to answer questions. All processing comes from low beta, medium speed. And if I feel calm, it has some alpha to it, which is those are the two medium speeds. So Jamie asked me a question. I have to be able to process that, use all these different brain areas to formulate a response, and then use motor commands to get that response back out. There's a lot to it. I have to be able to use low beta focus speed. If my brain is in theta, it's running too slow for me to do all that processing. And we know that when you watch porn, it increases theta. So that's why I have brain fog. As you come out of it, you're going to have more theta because you're going to be in this dopamine deficit state. But as your brain rewires itself, then your brain becomes healthier and it starts reducing theta. It reduces high beta for anxiety and it produces more low beta. So the cool thing about this headband that I just talked about, which you purchase directly from the manufacturer, but with the link Jamie put there, you get 15% off, is that it increases low beta and decreases theta and high beta. It does it for you. That's why I was using mine yesterday, because I knew I was cranking my low beta. So this is what happens. After time, even though I wasn't stressed, I was using low beta for 4 or 5 hours because I'm trying to get a lot done. And so then it makes my brain tired. That's why it says active. There's more theta. And the more I use low beta, it becomes high beta just because of overuse, like David's talking about. So when I put the headband on, it brings me out of high beta and theta, and I'm back to, using my brain in a healthy way. So it takes the edge off brain fog. So that's why, you can use meditation in the same way. Meditation's proven to do that. But it's very difficult for many people to become effective at meditation. A lot of people sit there and spin their wheels for 10 minutes. That's why runs and walks are amazing for that too. But again, you can't spin your wheels. Running is actually better for that than walking, because a lot of times you can walk and just spin your wheels. When you run, it's called hypofrontality. It kind of drops that out and reboots your brain, front of your brain.
So, first, I'll say, David, thank you for your donation, and congratulations on, I think you said 41 days till the new year. Are you saying it's 41 days to the new year, or you are you haven't done anything for 41 days? Maybe you can clarify that, because I think you've done longer than that in your email that we have read. But I had another question.
Hey, Tamara is another partner here. Tamara, I'm here for you, my friend. In the partners program that I created, it's for partners to gain the strength to be able to help your partner and to convey how hurt and betrayed you feel. But at the same time, it's also to shift you out of that hurt and betrayal so that you can be strong to help yourself, your partner, and your relationship. So it's Sanity After Betrayal. You can go check that out there.
Couple people ask, how much is the headband? It comes out to be about, I think it's originally $240, but with the discount, it's about $208, if I'm not mistaken. So,
yeah, I know it's always been like $249 and it ends up being $215, but the price fluctuates, okay. And this is the best time of year to buy it.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what the comment was, that it was so many euros? Yeah, if that's what it was with the euros, I don't know how to convert euros to dollars, but that is through the Muse. Like, that's just what they sell it for. But I'll tell you, like, if you're really struggling and you really want to overcome this, the headband could be a difference maker for you. When people join my 90-day program, I try to encourage them strongly to get the headband and start using it. And then when I meet people, if it's difficult for them to stay engaged in the program, I say, forget the program for a little while. Just start using the headband every day. Because if you use the headband every day, you'll be able to get back into the program and do the things you need to. But if you're so stuck you can't do the things that you need to, the headband will start healing your brain for you. But yeah, it's an investment for sure. But all good things out there generally come with an investment.
It will get you from where you are to where you want to be in a faster amount of time. It absolutely is amazing piece of technology.
Hey, Jane, we're going to have to wrap up in a minute, but I just want to talk about loneliness, because I see a few people have put comments in about loneliness. And I've talked about this lately, but I just want to say it again, because I thought I would get here and I would be lonely. So it's on my mind too, because I'm used to, a lot of interaction. Jamie and John know this, because literally my kids call me from school, which is not cool, but I love it, obviously. They call me from school all the time. So I'll be like, Fiona's calling me from school. Something must be wrong. Can I call you back when I'm talking to them? And it'll just be like, hey, Mom, I'm at school and I just did the best thing ever. I'm very connected to a lot of people. So because I have so many people in my world, and, my husband and I thankfully have a good relationship. It's not perfect. We're working on a lot of stuff, but we are good communicators. I've been working for 10 years on myself to just feel better about myself from the inside. So I don't have to feel like my husband and my kids are the center of my world. And the reason I'm telling you that, someone's like, thanks for having the courage for always telling us your crap, Dr. Trish. You're welcome. Here comes some more of it. Is that, that's how my family is. I was thinking about this. My older sister, who's hopefully not watching because she'll end up killing me, is that, her kids left the nest and she was devastated, because her identity was wrapped up in them. And my parents are very enmeshed. They don't have their own identity. So that's my programming from my childhood, the one I've been trying to undo and create a new identity around, so that I can feel whole and, sit next to my husband as a whole, healthy version of myself, so that he can be the best version of himself and me the best version of myself next to each other, not depending upon each other for validation and attention. And if you can do that, if you can do the work that I'm suggesting here, you can get rid of your own loneliness. And when you get rid of your own loneliness, you can find people to be next to you in your non-loneliness. I don't know if that makes sense, but I've been working on that so that my kids can feel great without me and I can feel great without them. But then we love being together because we don't need each other to feel okay. And the same thing with my Hubs. Of course, I miss him. He texted me while I was on saying, "I miss you," and I'm like, I miss him too. But it's not like back in the day. This is a true story. True story. He'll probably stab me to death later. Is that when we first met, I had to go visit my sister who lived out of town at the time, and I went out of town to visit my sister. Then I went to my brother's house. I get to my brother's house. Who's there? My husband, who was my boyfriend at the time. We literally had been apart for like not even a day. And I thought about this earlier. I'm like, I wonder if he'll show up here. And I'm like, half of me wants him to show up for the weekend. The other half doesn't, because I'm on this journey of not needing him to show up. You know what I mean? But it did. It ran through. I was thinking about that. But so like we're in a different space now. He can go on trips and I don't show up. I can go places and he doesn't show up because we feel confident next to each other.
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of cool. Okay, so I may plan a surprise live, but we weren't going to commit to it. But we love doing these lives just as much as you do. So Jamie and I have already thrown out that if we're not feeling completely overwhelmed in the middle of December, the second or the third week, we'll put a shout out and we'll do an impromptu live. But we're going to keep it off the schedule because the schedule has been getting pretty busy, and I want to dedicate my time to the lives in the holiday program. Yeah, I am. I was always a biker chick at heart, Daryl. That's what you don't understand. That was just manifesting it in my identity. That's why when I told my husband I would learn how to ride a motorcycle, he wasn't that shocked. And I want to learn how to shoot a gun, but I thought after a motorcycle, I better just pump the brakes on anything that can kill me. Okay, so unless there's anything pressing, Jamie, I'm going to wrap up because I have a meeting that I have to get to. So, okay, everybody, please join me in the holiday program if you can afford it. Oh, before I leave, I do want to tell you something. If you decide not to join me in the holiday program, I want to leave you with some tidbits for holiday season. Okay. Number one is take what you've done in the 30-day challenge and especially avoid relapses. We've talked about it here. You can avoid relapses. They're not inevitable. And I talked to someone really sweet this week, and the way he put it was, sometimes when you have a relapse, it's because you've left the back door open and the hijacker is going to take that back door. So figure out what your back door is and close it. If you've, left a way to get into an incognito browser, if you don't have a blocker, get Covenant Eyes, figure out what's preventing you from not relapsing and move forward. Close all the doors, burn the bridges, move forward. Make a plan for your holiday season. The holidays are stressful. We know that seasonal affective disorder goes up during the holiday season. I actually watched Grey's Anatomy last night, which is pretty funny because, I'm like TV. Maybe I'll watch TV. I haven't watched any TV because I don't really watch TV since I got here. I'm like, I should watch TV. I really should. So I put it on and they were talking about, how stressful holidays can be with all the family dynamics, but it doesn't have to be that way because you can create whatever version of the holidays that you want to, and the thing I started doing is I don't require every kid in my family to come to things. You've heard me say this before. And that's new. It keeps stress low. It keeps the people there who want to be there. And, as long as they show up ever, then we're all good, Think about what's going to work for you. Create space so you don't get overwhelmed. Create time so you don't get fatigued, but engage. And one thing I could tell you is plan something. When you get sucked into a porn habit, you stop planning things. That's why in the 30-day challenge, I said, plan what you're going to do. Because you stop planning and you just default into escapism. So plan one cool thing that you're going to do this winter season. You plan it. Don't wait for other people to do it. Plan something and ask others to go do it with you. It's going to be an amazing thing for you to do. And, when it comes to social anxiety, come up with some hacks. I told you my hack. When I walk into a room, I say hi to every single person. You know, I have to move through the anxiety of going up to every person and who's there? Whitney Gale, Robert.
Yeah.
You're like quiet wit, we're on live. Then normally I get a, hey, Dr. Trish, is that when you say hello to everyone, you can crash through a couple seconds of anxiety. And, you know, I go, hi, I'm Trish. How do you spend your time? That is neutral. Something that we're talking about is neutral statements instead of, you know, getting people into conflict. Because sometimes you want to go, hi, I'm Trish. What do you think about COVID? What do you think about politics? Instead of doing that, which inevitably creates some conflict, ask people how they spend their time and then listen, actually listen. Okay, that should help you move forward in some social situations and plan something. It'll be super good to fire up your frontal lobe in the reward center. And hopefully you'll join us in the holiday program. And if not, we'll see you in the new year. All right, bye, James. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll talk to you. Okay, bye, everybody.
Have a good weekend.
Okay, yeah, you too. Bye.